Hello, Taylor Ellwood, your mad scientist and magical experimenter at magicalexperiments.com. And this week we're going to share part 4, the halfway point of how I used alchemy to change my life. Now, in part 4, at this point I have lived in Seattle for, it's my second week, and fittingly enough, the alchemical process is conjunction. Now, what happens with conjunction is you take everything that's been calcinated, and dissoluted, and separated, and you've gotten rid of all the dross, and you take everything that's left and you combine it all together. It forms a conjunction. It's kind of a re-solidifying of what's left. Now, you might think at this point, okay, that means the alchemical process is done. No, it's not. What it means is that everything is just taking a moment to take a deep breath and take a pause like this. Right, there we go. We're taking a deep breath. We're pausing. We're kind of taking a moment to ground ourselves before we get ready for the even more intense processes. And that's really what that week was like for me. I just moved to Seattle. I was starting to look for work. And that was when I kind of started to take stock and ground myself that yes, here I am. I'm living in this new city. I don't really know anybody here. Or do I? It turns out I knew a couple people. And I started reaching out to them and getting their help with the job hunt that I was doing. Saying, hey, I'm looking out there, do you have any ideas and suggestions? So I started to kind of get my life back together. I started looking for work. I started getting used to this new place that I'm living in. My partner at the time, she ends up getting a job, and so she's all hunky-dory and set up because she had some connections. So everything's looking good, and we're starting to look around and say, okay, this is where we live now. But it's also the quiet before the storm. You've gone through this process where you've been broken down, and so now you're kind of taking stock of yourself, and you're probably thinking, okay, I'm great, I'm going to be fine. Well, no, not really. It's the quiet before the storm. You're just getting ready for the next part where you're going to be broken down even further. And here's the thing about alchemy, and really about these kinds of processes that you purposely initiate into your life. You have to be ready to be broken down. You have to be ready to be broken down to your primal essence. And there's a reason for that, because what you're doing is you're getting down and down and becoming more and more purified and prepared for the next stage of whatever it is that you're going to embark on. So, you get that moment where you get to take a breath, where you get to ground, and then guess what? You're going to be thrown right back into it. I didn't realize that at the time. I'm like, oh, okay, things are starting to stabilize a little bit here. Yeah, I'm still feeling uncomfortable, etc., but, things are starting to get a little grounded. And really, it was just preparing me for the next, for the even more intense processes that were going to happen over the next 3 weeks. And really, that's something to remember in general with magical work, especially magical work that you're doing to change yourself, is that when you're doing that work, you are inviting that change into your life. You don't have full control over how it's going to show up. And you better be prepared for that. And you better recognize that as you're going through those changes, you're paying a price for those changes. You are getting rid of some things. You're going through a process of change that at the time can be quite traumatic. And it's worth it. I want to make that clear. It is very worth it. But you have to be willing to undergo that process. You need to be willing to be transformed and changed in ways that you wouldn't even expect. Because if you go on with this idea that you're going to be in control of the process, then you're not going to fully be in it. You're not going to fully own it. And when it does come and it kicks you on your ass and it pulls the rug out from underneath you, you're going to be really surprised. And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I've been hit by a train. And you know what? You will have been hit by a train. Because sometimes that's what happens with magic. It's not all rainbows and sparkles here, folks. It's not all light and love. Real magic, edgy magic, and this is true of alchemical work as well, is work that changes you. It smacks you a bit. It makes you focus on what is really important and valuable to you. It changes your life. That's really what I was getting prepared for in week 4. So keep watch for next week's video, And if you haven't subscribed yet to this, feel free to go into the corner and click on the little subscribe feature there, and then that way you'll get these videos every week when I release them. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful week.